Welcome to Bleav In 76ers with your hosts, former 76ers point guard Eric Snow and two Sixers fanatics in Marcus and Tasia Dash. Bleav In 76ers is presented by BetOnline.AG.
BetOnline is your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. From baseball, golf, soccer, right to all the top fights in UFC, MMA, and boxing. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BLEAV, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, the game starts here. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bleav In 76ers podcast. I'm Marcus Dash here with legendary 76ers point guard Eric Snow and my brother Tasia Dash. Guys, a bit of a quiet week in the as far as the news around the Sixers. Based on the last 2 weeks of it, just kind of like full court press with everything, all the news, all the signings, kind of slowed down a little bit. But the critiques on Embiid have seems like they've crept up because he hasn't been playing like an MVP in the USA Olympic Games. And we'll get into that a little bit about the USA, the Team USA stuff. But what have you guys made some of the criticism of Embiid? He shouldn't be starting. AD should be starting over him. Just curious, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think with Team USA, I think if AD started, AD's numbers would get hurt more. I think that starting lineup is hard to kind of get your numbers high. But that being said, Joel, it doesn't look great. I mean, he don't look as athletic. He doesn't look as in shape. Like he looks like he does like when he comes back from an injury. That's kind of like, that is how he looks.
Yep.
I don't know if not starting him is going to change that. I think the role that AD's playing right now is great. Like I think if AD's playing better, I don't necessarily think you need to change the lineup. You just probably play AD more. You know what I'm saying? Which I think he was probably already doing anyway. So I don't think you need to come in and all of a sudden change that lineup. But if you watch the game against Serbia, the starting lineup and the second team from Serbia was different. It was a difference. So those guys that were coming in behind, or they're not playing against the same caliber. It's not like the USA team where that second team is still the best players in the world. It's been a difference with a lot of these teams when they go to the bench. So that's one kind of positive towards it. But Joel just got to play well. I mean, it's been, it's been preseason games per se. So he still has a chance to change it around. But if he doesn't, I don't think they'll change the lineup, but I do think you'll see his minutes decrease.
Even more than they already, because they're pretty low already. I think he played like 16 and 17 minutes the last two games.
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't change, I can see it being a little lower. But I think he'll play better. But I still think at the end of the day, even when he plays better, as long as AD is doing what he's doing, I can see his minutes staying consistent. But I've been told, I didn't play in the Olympics, but I've been told by a lot of guys that did that it's different. It takes some getting used to.
Yeah.
The rules, the basketball, and that's why guys from our team never really knock the ball off the rim when you're allowed to, because they're not used to it. It takes some getting used to.
Yeah.
The physicality it's different. So I think Joel's, if you watch him, he's doing some things where he would have gotten calls in the league.
Yeah,
not getting those calls. So
No.
you got to, you know what I'm saying? So, all the trying to flop and trying to draw contact, and they just looking at him like, get up. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think now he's kind of seeing like, no, I just got to go through somebody's chin,
Yeah.
go to the rim. So, but we'll see. We'll see if he adjusts.
It definitely takes some adjusting. If you look at the starting lineup too, they all
We know he's
play
capable. We'll just see if he does.
They all play on pretty stacked teams, or have been used to playing with more stacked teams over their careers. If you look at all those guys, like, right, Drew Holiday's always played with, like, the last 3 or 4 years, like 2 to 3 all-stars on his team. Curry's always had the Golden State roster around him. LeBron's, we know his track record with playing with other top like 10 players. Tatum's had the luxury of playing with all-stars around him for a while. So like Joel, I think he's also used to being like the end-all, be-all source of offense and everything on his team. So I think it's good for him to kind of learn to kind of play with all these other guys where he doesn't have to do all that. But we've seen him play well in the All-Star game. But I think part of it also is, like you say, conditioning and getting himself up to speed too. And
I would say it's more the conditioning standpoint, pace of the game, being more active. I mean, he's still doing the drop and pick and roll where now all of a sudden you put AD and Bam in, they're switching, they're up, they're more aggressive. So it's different. You run the court, that's what I'm saying. Like, he needs to run the court, get early post position, all of that stuff. Like, so I don't know if he's prepared or able to do that right now. But I think those are the things that he kind of needs to do to really put an impact on the game in his favor. Because the one thing that's not going to happen is he's not going to get all of those touches that he would usually get in the game where he can just go and pick his spot and ISO at the elbow. It's true zones over there. So that stuff is different. If we had NBA rules, it would, things would be a little more similar for him. But you got to adjust now. Like, how can you be most effective? That's why I pointed at the condition, because I felt like in transition or early transition, if he's running down there and he's deep posting, no one can guard him. I mean, Joker can't even guard him down there. So if he gets him that deep, but you see that not happening, and then all of a sudden, when Joel gets the ball, they're sitting the guy in the paint when he has it. Well, you can't do that in the NBA, but you can there. So that's going to limit his effectiveness. Mm-hmm. He's trying to play through it, and or either going to make you passive, or you just pass it, give up your position. So I think that's something that Joel can do, and I think maybe Steve and the staff can probably be a little more creative in finding ways for him to be impactful as well.
And he had 5 and 8. He was tied for the team leading rebounds, only playing 16 minutes. He didn't shoot well, but Jokic was a minus 27 in the game. So it's funny that we hear bad press about Embiid, but not about the 9-time MVP. So it's just funny to hear, again, the slander differences and why certain guys get so much crap for it and other guys don't. It's just funny to see that. Because, he didn't play up to what we're used to, but 5 and 8 in 16 minutes is not the worst game. In the previous game, he had the highest on plus minus out of all the starters. So it's like, that's his bad, then I'll take that as his worst, right?
Yeah. And according to Ramona Shelburne, this is the first time he's played basketball since the Knicks series. Last week's game was the first game.
I can tell.
Yeah.
I can tell. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, so we're going to dig into our first topic tonight. So Embiid obviously is the clear top dog on this team, but after receiving a 5-year, $200 million contract, the future might belong to Tyrese Maxey. So we're starting to get into two factions here, guys, where the future of this team is the franchise, Tyrese Maxey's, and then some of our fan base is saying the future is still Embiid. This is still Embiid's team. So some of the topics I've seen on Twitter from our fans talking is talking about the future of the Sixers and luring free agencies to Philadelphia. And I guess the question is, for other NBA players, who's a bigger draw for an attraction to the 76ers? Is it Tyrese Maxey or is it Joel Embiid for future free agents to come to Philadelphia? Who's going to be the bigger draw in the future?
In the future?
In the future, yeah.
Like when you say future, like what is future? 2 years? Like 1 year?
2 years.
3 years? 4 years?
The next 2 to 3 years, yeah.
It has to be Joel if we're talking about the future and talking about winning the championship. It has to be Joel. Maxey is, I think he's, in my opinion, he's looked at in a high fashion as the second option. I think things change if you're saying he's the first option. You can still win some games, but us not getting past the second round would be like, oh, okay. But with Joel, it's like you're not doing enough. We can't even get to the conference finals. So the expectations, I Bleav, would change. But as long as Joel is here and he's an MVP, the expectations are conference finals, championship. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how that can be all of a sudden in 2 years, you say that now all of a sudden it's guys are coming back. I think they're coming to play with the guy that's drawing double teams, the MVP, and the most dominant big man in the game right now. Now, I think having Maxey, an all-star caliber, all-star player, and one of the top guards in the league along with him just makes it even more attractive. Mm-hmm. But I don't think, that order would be any different.
Would you say right now on the team it's Maxey 2, Paul George 3?
I would say Maxey's 2, yeah.
Okay.
If we're talking about right now, if we're talking about career, obviously it's Paul.
Yeah.
Paul's career, obviously, could argue better than Joel's career. If not probably. But if you're saying right now, I think Paul has come here, and I know people look at the salary and they say, well, for that salary, he should be 1-2. And I'm saying, I say Maxey's 2, but on many occasions, Paul may be 2 and maybe 1 this year. And that's where I think it's different, where Tobias was technically 3, and you never really had those instances where he was really number 1 for multiple games. You've had some instances where he was number 2, but you had the high majority where he was number 3. I think with the difference with Paul is you'll get more 2 and more 1 as far as your numbers in games.
Well, the salary thing is also interesting too, because although I do look at that, if you were to clear everyone's salary cap and you were to say no spending limits, and you can offer as much as you want to anybody, Maxey would probably get a higher and longer offer from a team than Paul George would. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, the way he's playing and his age, yeah.
I don't
think he would if Paul George, if they were the same age.
No. 24, 25-year-old Paul
right
George?
Now.
No. 25-year-old Paul George.
Saying. Like if they're the same age, he would. Yeah.
Paul George would probably get like top 5, top 10 money.
He's getting Tatum and Brown money. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's just interesting. I think right now it's Embiid. Right now and for the foreseeable future, I think it also depends on who's signing too, right? So Paul George, a guy on probably his last contract, signing a 4-year deal. I think that's the kind of guy who's looking at Embiid, signing for Embiid, right? I think Maxey's a fantastic extra little cherry to throw on top on that, but I think that's more Embiid, right? I think a younger player coming in maybe might be a little more inclined to say Maxey would push him over the edge, because he might say, like, you know what, it's me and you for the next 10 years, right? Or 8 years. But like you said too, push come to shove, this team's going as far as Embiid takes us. Yeah. And as good as a 2 duo of George and Maxey would be if Embiid were to get injured for multiple games, so not. We're limited, and we're more like a lot of the other tiers. Embiid is what gets us to that top tier. And there's no sign of torch passing. There's no sign of, Embiid wearing down. Embiid's firmly in his prime. So until he starts showing signs of wearing down and, getting past his prime, hopefully slowly, then it's his team, and it's his team for the foreseeable future.
Embiid So as of yesterday, Embiid is now eligible to sign a 3-year, $193 million extension. There's a lot of also back and forth with Sixers fans talking about this. Do you think the Sixers should offer that to him now? I mean, and kind of get the ball rolling on that, or what? Where do you guys stand on that?
What would that, Tasia, where would that take him as
He's
far as
he's under contract. He's under contract definitely for this year, upcoming, and next year. 26-27, he's a player option of $59 million. So that's where his contract ends right now. So if they were going to extend him, I'm not sure.
So
that
the
would
extension doesn't have to go. Does the extension count that
player option year
or not? Yeah,
that's a good question.
No, he would have to opt out of that. He would have to decline his $59 million player option for the 26-27 season, and would then earn the following based on the 3-year and $193 million extension.
Okay.
There you go. So it starts
so basically he could have
28-29.
Got it. So that would take him what with Maxey?
Yes. Because Maxey signed the 5-year, no option year. Right?
I think he signs it.
Yep.
Yeah. The fact that I'm seeing any Sixers fans like hesitating on that, just I don't get it. I feel like people have to have some kind of like.
We're locked into this team.
I mean, we always hesitated. We always hesitate. It's people like Tasia that's always acting like it's their money that's being spent.
Tasia Harris is
we're locked. See, I'm not even saying that. We're locked into this team. This is our team for this foreseeable.
Just saying, man. Look, man, if you committed to Paul,
if you were to ask me,
look, you committed to Paul, you committed to Maxey. I mean, how can you not commit to the guy that's supposed to be your number one option?
I know.
Just asking for a friend.
Now, if you were to ask me for a friend, if Embiid can maybe learn a thing or two from the Brunsons and maybe take a little less, then hey, I'm up for that's up for debate. So would I be okay with that in order to maybe squeeze another free agent in a couple years? Sure. I'd be okay with that.
Did we ask Paul to do that?
I mean, they didn't ask. Did they ask OG to do that? I mean, Brunson still did it despite what OG signed, right?
But that's my point. But OG ain't making their type of money.
I think. Yeah, he's making a little less, right? Well, what did OG get in the end? 4-year what? 4-year 200 on the dot?
Yeah, I thought it was 200.
I'm going to it right now. Giannobi. Yeah, no, he didn't make. No, he didn't make Paul George money. You're right.
Thank you.
39, 42, 45, 48. And then Paul George is. Yeah, Paul George makes more. Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying. I mean, it seems like everybody in the Knicks took something less or taking something less. Now we'll see what happens with Julius Randle.
Yeah,
we'll see. But we can't ask Joel to take less if nobody else is taking less.
Yeah.
Because if no one else takes less, I'm just saying if no one else takes less and he takes less, you still may not be able to get anyone.
I know. That's why. Yeah, that's why they could always bring it back to the LeBron thing too, right? Would you be able to do maybe what LeBron did, take like a few million less, so it can help us get another tier free agent type deal, right?
Yeah,
and that didn't really work out for them.
LB did it.
No, it
didn't. Yeah, I mean LB did it for different reasons.
Yeah,
to help the team.
That's true. How old's Embiid's son?
Arthur. Yeah, he's really young.
We'll sign a contract right now to draft your son.
I didn't I didn't say he did it to help his son. I said he helped to help the team. That's what I said.
Yeah, help the team. We'll draft your son in 15 years from now if you sheds like $10 million off your salary.
Bronny's the most bet on player at NBA Summer League right now. Yeah, so he's helping out the league. As far as hit prop betting, people are betting on his points and whatnot, all his points, rebounds, assists.
Oh, you can bet on Summer League?
Yeah.
You can bet on Summer League?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why not? I mean, he's the most talked about, so why shouldn't he be the most, the guy that people are betting on the most?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently the most bet on player to win a Rookie of the Year as well, as of right now.
Rookie of the Year?
Nah, that's
throwing your money away.
I should take that bet. I should take that bet for
man. Yeah.
Send me where that bet is. I'm gonna take that.
I'll
bet that. Not because he is capable. He's not gonna get the opportunity. He's not gonna get the opportunity to be rookie.
That's not real, is it? That's not real.
That can't be real. He's not gonna get the opportunity.
No way.
Yeah, Carl Cow was talking about it.
Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
That's crazy talk. Yeah.
Can you bet on it?
To say that he's not going to win it?
Only Edie had more money wagered. So Edie's number one.
Where can I bet that? Where can I bet that he's not?
That he won't be?
Yeah, that he won't
be. Yeah, the problem is, Eric, if you want to take that bet, you'd have to bet like 10,000 and win like $100 or something. It wouldn't pay out that much because they know it's not likely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, so you're not really hurting yourself if you bet for him to win.
Yes.
No.
Exactly.
Well, I see why he's getting more votes for it then. I mean, why not?
Mm-hmm. Still
you might get some people to vote him in.
He's got $10 billion. Still $50 is lost, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not going to bet for him to win it. I would, because
the Rookie of the Year for him to win it is 250 to 1.
Oh wow,
250 to 1 as of July 6th. It was.
It should be higher than that.
I know,
shouldn't
it? Yeah.
Isn't that low? 250.
I mean, you could say it is, but at the same time, what did he get drafted? 43 overall?
55.
55, sorry. We were 43. 55. There's only 54 guys drafted ahead of him. He's 250 to 1. I mean, it's pretty crazy if you think about that. But
yeah, I mean, but how many guys are going to be playing 20 and 30 more minutes than that?
I'd say Edie's not
That's
bad.
what I'm saying.
Edie's not a bad dark horse.
Edie's a good pick. Edie could start.
Yeah.
Now you got some of the other guys, and then the top picks. Some of the top picks.
Not only could he start, if Memphis has half the injury problems they had last year, Edie plays 30-something minutes a game on that injured team.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think if they have their guys healthy, I mean he's getting a double off without plays being called for him.
Yeah, totally.
Lobs, putbacks, because what if Ja Morant's coming to the rim and you're big and you got him? Like, what's your decision?
Yeah.
What's your decision?
Yeah. And you have Jackson hanging around the 3-point line, so he can just clog the middle all the time.
I'm just saying. Like, I mean, they still got Bane. I mean, they still got their top 3 players.
Yeah,
it's a good team.
So that's gonna be interesting.
All right, so now we're gonna get to another thing that's being talked about a lot by pretty much everybody on social media and everybody in all the ESPN, Fox Sports 1, all that. It's talking about the top of the Eastern Conference, and that's now that kind of all the starting fives are kind of set between the Celtics, Bucks, Sixers, and Knicks. Now it's kind of a competition as to who's got the best starting five. So I have it laid out for you guys. So I wanted to get your guys' take on this. So the starting fives of all 4 of the teams that everyone thinks are going to be at the top of the East. Sixers, obviously, we know Maxey, Oubre, PG, Caleb Martin, Embiid. Celtics, Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kristaps. Knicks, Brunson, Bridges, Hart, OG, and Randall. That's the interesting one. Randall being a 5 for them. Then you got Bucks, Lillard, Gary Trent, who got signed this week, Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Brook Lopez as their starting 5. So, guys, I'm just curious, how do you think our starting 5 matches up to the rest of the Eastern Conference as far as the top 4, the top 4 Eastern Conference contenders?
I think we can beat any of those teams. But I do think that those teams can beat us. I think it's very how you're playing and key matchups, and but I do believe that we can match up against any of these guys. I think that we would obviously have to earn it. I think home court may matter, kind of how the season has gone. But it's tough. I mean, I see that, I see that any of all these matchups, I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we matched up and we won the series. But on the other hand, you probably have to beat 2 of them to go to the finals. And that's not going to be, and that wouldn't be easy.
Yeah, you have to earn it next year for sure. Yeah, I think we match up better against, as this on screen, I think we match up better against the Celtics and Knicks because we resemble each other a little more in the starting 5 makeup. Not as big players, but pretty balanced and long. All the guys are long. Not as traditional in the starting 4 department as the Bucks, for instance, who have the Giannis at 4, Lopez at 5, and Lopez. I think matching up with them is the biggest difference between us and the Knicks and Celtics, though, because the Knicks and Celtics have the flexibility, if they want to go to a more traditional starting 5, put Randall at 4 and Mitch at 5, and then Celtics can put Porzingis at 4 and Horford at 5. We don't have that. Like that is our squad, more or less. We don't have a traditional 4 on our team to be able to do that. I mean, I guess you could say right now you could put Drummond at 5 and Embiid at 4, but now we're already talking about a wonky 5 right there. We're doing that. That doesn't. I know some people have advocated for that, but that doesn't make sense to me. So currently, as constructed, we don't have a team to play the bigger, more traditional game. We only have kind of the small ball game. So hopefully, I think we all talked about that being one of the major things that, whether it's now with Vet Min or a trade for the balloon KJ contract at midseason, that we need more of the traditional kind of bigger 4 to be able to play with that kind of flexibility. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I've said before. Like, I think it'll come down to matchups. And then, this is assuming that all of these teams are healthy, which almost never happens. But I would love to see it. It do happen. Just from a loving basketball perspective. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think we can beat any of these teams, but it wouldn't be easy. It wouldn't be easy at all. All 4 of these teams can see themselves going to the finals, and this isn't counting the team that went to the conference finals this past season. That also had injuries themselves.
Yep.
And a team that that's been in the top 4 or 5 the last couple of years that had injuries also.
Yeah.
That's not counting a Orlando team that was ahead of us and went out and got the perfect glue guy that teams have won a championship with. So
East is tough.
Yeah, it's those first round games now are even looking tough.
Yeah.
Seeding in home court will matter.
Yeah.
Like it always does.
Big time this year. Yeah. Because what you don't want is to get out of the top 4 and have to play 3 of these teams. That's what you don't want. That's the worst case. That's the worst case right there. So
Yeah.
If you can stay in the top 4, play Orlando, even though, they're up and coming, get by Orlando, then play the winner of one of these two. That's a win, right? Or one of these teams. So, yeah.
What do you make as we're talking about kind of the variety and the lineups we could put out there? Do you guys think there's a chance that we could ever see a Bona getting like good rotational minutes at the 4? I mean, based on the way he's played defensively in the summer league. I know it's summer league, difference of competition and talent, but do you think a lot of that can be transferred over to playing like solid minutes, rotation minutes in the season, Eric?
I think it'll have to be proven during the season. I mean, I'm not going to go. I don't think they're going to go by summer league. I think in camp, he's going to have to show it. Playing with Joel, you don't necessarily have to be a spot up big because Joel kind of, spaces out. So you could still be a rim threat and play around the rim a little bit more. Sort of in the Paul Reed, but that was the biggest gripe from most people about Paul was he didn't go out and stretch and shoot threes when he was in there with Joel. I don't see it. I didn't envision that with him, but who knows what he has in his package or what he can develop. So I think camp will determine that and the season's play will determine that. But I anticipate Drummond backing up Joel and him kind of being behind those guys. That's sort of how I envision it.
Which that alone right there, he'll get plenty of playing time because Joel will miss probably 20-something games. You got Drummond starting those games, and Bona will be the main backup. So he'll get his run.
He'll get some opportunities during the season, like guys always do. I just don't see him earning consistent rotation minutes.
Yeah,
alongside Joel
when everyone's healthy.
When everyone's healthy, yes.
Yeah.
Should be interesting Eastern Conference race here. And like you mentioned, I don't think you guys even mentioned Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland's another team in there who, I mean, like,
I said Cleveland. I said the team that's been in the top 4 or 5 the last 2 or 3 years. So
yeah,
and they were injured. So
yeah. One team that's always kind of thrown around in there, Miami. Miami's. Do we see?
We don't even have to mention Miami because we know what Miami have done to these top teams that's on that list.
Yeah.
We know what they've done. So you got Miami, but we'll just name them. You got Miami, you got Cleveland, and you got the Pacers, who beat
Orlando
on that list. And then we have Orlando that's sitting right there that got some experience, got tons of talent. And like I said, they got that glue guy that has helped 2 teams win the championship. So they're going to be in there. And that's 8 right there. And there's always a wild card somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know who that could be, but it's always one.
Yeah. Probably a wild card somewhere, but if I had to guess, those would be the playoff.
Those would be the 8, just depending on which order. Yeah.
It does take a little, at least right now in my mind, does take a little bit of a dip after that because Bulls, I don't know what they're doing at this point.
Yeah.
Atlanta's kind of reshuffling, so who knows what's happening with them. But, I mean, you never know.
Yeah. But but you guys agree, though, the 4 we just talked about, for injuries aside, that should be the top 4 in the East, you believe?
That's who I would expect to be the top 4, but it would not surprise me if Cleveland and the Pacers were right there and took it from someone.
Would you put Celtics in tier 1 and the other 3 teams, us, New York, and Milwaukee in tier 2? Or
only from the aspect of winning the championship. If Boston went to the finals and didn't win, I don't think they're any different than anyone else.
Okay.
But the fact that they won, you have to put them ahead of everyone else.
So accolades aside, just that roster, as we saw it on screen, you would group
that roster. That roster, I think, is very beatable.
Okay,
I think it's very beatable. They play primarily 6 guys, 7 maybe. I think that roster is very beatable. I think that if they play those teams that's on that list healthy, it's different. They didn't play any of those teams healthy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true.
It's gonna be an interesting season. It's gonna be a fun season for sure. It's gonna be action packed in the Eastern Conference. I love it.
I just hope everyone stays healthy.
Yeah, that's hopefully it's the ultimate goal for every team. Everyone can stay healthy throughout this thing. Okay, so we're gonna get to the our next topic here. Our last topic today, we're gonna be talking about some of the comments you guys have left on our channel over the last week. But before we get to that, we're gonna go back to the USA Olympics. While there has been a lot of negative talk about Joel Embiid, which we kind of addressed in the beginning, we're gonna be talking about looking at the positives behind Embiid being on the USA team. So my question to you guys is, are there things the Sixers could pull from how Team USA is using Joel? I know the Sixers aren't a dream team, but you can definitely see how a three-man game between LeBron, Curry, and Embiid can translate to a PG, Maxey, Embiid kind of game. For example, off-ball screens allowing for wide-open threes for Curry. And with the FIBA rules resulting in less foul calling, do you think this will help Embiid play through more contact more often?
I think that aspect probably more than anything. What you said last was playing through more contact, and I think hopefully, and that's where I think the conditioning comes in, because I think you can eliminate or avoid a lot of that by playing more aggressive and getting position before you receive the basketball. I think in the NBA the way it's set up, I know in the NBA the way it's set up with the illegal defense, you don't necessarily have to fight for great position to get the ball and get the ISO, and people have to come help, when you can find guys. It's a little easier to locate guys because of the illegal defense. But I think in this, when you have a true zone and guys can just stay right there the whole time, that little feet of, the 2 or 3 feet of position helps. But I've always said that with Joel, the conditioning to continuously post up guys deep and continuously do that takes a different kind of conditioning that I don't think he's ever established. But hopefully he can gain that and then play through the contact and play with more physicality from that standpoint on a consistent basis. I think that would definitely help him. Playing with other guys, I'm not sure how much that'll help, because I think all the guys there are knowing coming in that they have to make sacrifices to their games. I'm not sure how much of a sacrifice Joel is going to have to make with Paul coming. I don't think that his sacrifice is going to be that steep as it is in the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure how much that'll help him. I just think the one thing that can probably help him is extending his defense, because you may have to do it over there. He hasn't done it thus far in the scrimmages, but maybe he will have to going forward with some of these teams. But I guess the experience in all, playing with that talent he's playing with and being more of a role player, because they're all role players on that team, being more of a role player can help him maybe have a better understanding of his teammates and better understanding of how to work together with that. So I do think experience will help him. I'm just not really certain how outside the physicality and the conditioning.
I think experience will be so good for him. I do think, playing with a balanced roster where he doesn't need to do everything. Yeah, he's not going to scale back to the size that he's going to have to scale back here and when he goes to the Sixers. But he did mention, I think, a few weeks ago that he wants to not have to score 35 points a game for us to have to win. So I think he, getting used to not taking that big of a sacrifice, but knowing that it's not all on you with G coming and Max taking another step. I think that's good for him to get used to. I think it's great for him. Like we said, this looks like early season Joel. So technically, if he's playing now, early season Joel won't be early season Joel that we're used to. Maybe it'll be like mid-season Joel when he finally gets to the actual regular season after playing in this and in the actual Olympics. So maybe it'll be just a little different. Maybe it'll give him a little more eye of the tiger, just focused. Some guys have said in the past that playing on that team and sustaining that kind of success drives them to want to have that and attain that in the regular season in the NBA. maybe it'll give him that. Maybe it'll give him that extra edge, and he'll already be in shape. He'll already be amongst the best, and a gold medal around it, in his neck. I love the off-ball screen stuff. Man, Curry, he was 6 for 6. He won 6 for 6. Those all didn't come from the Embiid screens, but I think 2 or 3 of them did. It was wide open. I mean, that play, Nurse has got to be being like, all right, we need to do some of that with this. Because, I think LeBron having the ball, commanding the attention he does, PG in the NBA commands a lot of attention. Giving the ball to a rolling Maxey with Embiid, all 3 of those guys command so much attention in their respective fields. I think you can do something similar to that, right? It's really exciting to see that. And the physicality is so huge because as much as I love Embiid getting 12 easy shots from the free throw line every game, it's not necessary. Just play through the contact. If you get fouled, you get fouled. But don't play for the foul, right? Play for the shot. Play for the basket. And then if you get fouled, you get fouled, right? So I think that's the biggest thing I'm seeing, and especially when they don't call it. It's obvious in some of those situations that you were blatantly just playing for the foul there. And he's used to it. He knows the system, right? So I like them to play a little bit through the contact. If he gets fouled, he gets fouled. Carry that over. You'll still get those calls in the NBA. Maybe some will be and ones. But maybe when you don't get fouled, you'll hit that bucket now instead of, throwing your arms out and looking at the ref like, come on, don't worry about all that. Just keep your head in the game.
Yeah, I do love the fact that he's getting his conditioning in now, and hopefully we get mid-season Embiid at the beginning of the season. But also, too, I kind of what you talked about, that some players in the past have talked about when they being on this team, they could kind of experience winning and being around that kind of atmosphere, and you kind of can bring that. He can take whatever he's learning from the older vets there and bring it back to Philly this season. So, hopefully he can bring some of that back, and hopefully they come away with a gold medal.
Because is he the only person without a ring in the starting lineup? Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
So, he realizes that in his head. If I know that, and I just put it together, he thinks about that. He knows that, right? He's the only guy in the starting 5 without a ring. So, they've all sustained greatness. I think everyone on there's got multiple rings actually on the starting lineup.
Yeah.
Who do you have in the starting lineup? Because they've changed it a couple of times.
The last one, I'm talking about the Serbian one. So Drew has 2 rings. Curry has multiple rings. LeBron has multiple rings. Tatum has 1 ring. So he's the only person without the 1 ring.
Yeah.
Who they had before that was who was starting in the other game? I don't remember.
Who started where?
In the previous game.
Booker started the first one.
Oh, okay. Well, he has never.
And then Edwards started with Tatum.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
When Drew didn't start. So it was Tatum. And then Tatum didn't start the game 1.
Okay.
It was Drew and Booker, Steph, LeBron, and Joel. And then the next game, it was Steph, Tatum, Edwards, LeBron, and Joel. And then after that, it was Steph, Drew, Tatum, LeBron, and Joel. So Joel, LeBron, and Steph have started every game. That should tell you something.
Yeah. And he said that's not going to change.
But that's how they envision them being most impactful, especially with Joel. It's that's what I'm saying. That's why when people say AD's to start, I'm like, well, it's working for AD. Why would we change it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And the fact that Kurz have come out and said that LeBron, Curry, and Embiid are going to be maintaining in the starting lineup. So, I mean, he obviously likes those 3 being together. All right, so we're going to get to our final topic here, our comment gallery. So we've been looking through some of the comments you guys have made, and we're going to pick out some of the best ones you guys have each week so we can respond to them. So one of our comments was a question about Jared McCain and his summer league performances so far. So I want to ask you guys, the question was, anybody else concerned about McCain missing so much, or am I tripping? Are Sixers fans or what do you guys think? Are Sixers fans right to be concerned about this?
It's interesting because even when games when he hasn't had a really good percentage, outside of, I guess, maybe that first one where he didn't have a good percentage, he shot well early. and then it's kind of like went down. Percentage went down as the game went on. The one thing I do like, he's not shying away from it. His willingness to shoot it. Sometimes that's guys don't want to say kids. Guys being reluctant to shoot can be an issue. That reluctancy doesn't seem to be there with him. That's a positive. I would say his history of being a guy that can knock down shots will be more the more likely trend. I think when he's playing with the full group, he'll be more consistent because I think he'll get better shots and his shot selection will improve. So I don't really have as much concern because I think his shot selection will get better and he'll be more consistent because of that. He'll get more wide open shots. He'll get more clean looks. Now, he still has to knock them down, but I believe in time that his percentage will improve because of shot selection and the better opportunities that he'll get playing alongside the guys on the team.
Yeah, I'm not worried yet. I mean, it's way too early to worry. He hit the clutch free throws in that game, even after a rough shooting game. So, he can still shoot. He was 9 for 9 for free throws. So we know it's not an overall shooting problem. He's just in a slump and it's just coming at a really bad time because we're just seeing him for the first time right now. But the shots will only get easier, right? They'll only get more wide open when he plays limited minutes with like 3 all-stars when he gets on the court. So all he's got to do is just hit the open jumper. He's not going to have to create his shot nearly as much. So no, I'm not worried yet.
None of us are tripping over Jared McCain's slump so far in some way. All right, so our next comment. This is in regards to our talk about Caleb Martin playing the 4 last week. The comment was, quote, "It's called positionless basketball. These players switch so much with pick and roll. Everyone needs to be able to handle a power forward. You don't need size, you need heart. Josh Hart is 6'4", grabbing 12 rebounds. We will be good." Comment to that, guys?
I understand his concept. I just don't agree with it. Because if the Knicks played Milwaukee and Josh Hart's not guarding Giannis, he can't guard him.
Yeah.
So our conversation was about the 4 teams we just talked about. Who's going to guard him? If you take away Joel, out of those 4 teams, he's the best player. He's a 2-time MVP, correct? So who's going to guard him? That's like having a guy in the league that's one of the top players in your conference, and you don't have a guy that you can be like, he's our guy that's going to have to defend Giannis. It's like we got guys that can guard Tatum. We still don't have a guy that's going to guard Brunson, and we've seen what happened with that in positionless basketball. So you can say it's positionless. So positionless is more of what guys do offensively. You still got to have guys that's going to defend that position. So just because we call Caleb Martin a 4 doesn't mean he's going to go and guard the best 4 in the league. So I'm saying I don't believe there's one guy that can specifically guard Giannis, but I do think you need someone with some size outside of Martin. I think Martin can be on him some and switch on him? Yes. But do I think you also need someone with some length to do it also? Yes. And we haven't addressed that. It's all I'm saying.
And if you look at the way our team's structured, we're going to force teams to have to play more traditional against us because Embiid is so big. So all those lineups we put up there earlier where Randall's playing the 5 and Porzingis is playing the 5, that's cute, but they're not going to be able to roll that against us. Horford's going to come in and play a lot of minutes against Embiid. Mitch is going to have to come in and play a lot against, which is going to push everyone down, which is going to put KP at the 4, which is going to put Randall at the 4, which means you got Caleb Martin guarding 7'3" KP. That's not going to happen, right? Like that's not going to work. You're going to have Caleb Martin against Randall all game. I don't know what happened, who guarded Randall when they play each other, but I don't all game him guarding him. I don't think so. So when we are a big team because we have a big guy, right? Everyone else is kind of like positionless because they're not extremely tall, but they're long. But we have to force teams to play.
But that's what I'm saying when we're positionless. Positionless is looked at it from an offensive perspective. But I'm saying from a defensive perspective, and I'm only thinking about in the playoffs because that's what we're talking about. Sure. And assuming all guys are healthy and you're playing guys in a 7-game series. I still believe that we have to address the Giannis factor. Yeah. We still have to address the Brunson factor. We have to address it. Brunson basically destroyed our team just because we couldn't guard him. And we did nothing to address it.
Yep.
So I think we addressed Tatum and Brown and maybe some other wings. Yeah. I think we're good there. But we tried to put our wings on Brunson and it didn't work.
And I do agree with his sentiment about Hart with rebounding. I mean,
yes.
He had a good opportunity, by the way, to make a really good pun with the Hart thing, but he didn't do that. So maybe the points for that. But
yes,
yeah, I agree. Hart.
I agree. No. That's what I said. I understand his concept from a standpoint of guys doing more, especially being smaller with Hart doing more. But I still didn't envision, like, even with Hart, I didn't necessarily look at Hart as the 4. I still looked at him as the 3.
Yeah.
Even though, we played with OG, or I forgot the other guy that came in as a reserve that played, that got moved to Brooklyn. He was still more of a 4. So he still didn't really have to play the 4, but then he also didn't really have to defend anything, any guy. Okay, let me say it like this. What happened when they played the Pacers? When you had a more traditional 4?
Yeah, Siakam, yeah.
Their 4 was their leading scorer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Against the Knicks. That same Knicks team to beat us.
Yep.
The 4 was their leading scorer, who can't score, but don't score and don't get the same amount of volume as Giannis does. Now, I know OG went out that game, and he probably would have been defending him. So that's what I'm saying. So OG would have been defending him. I do. Like I said, I understand the question, but I think positionless basketball is looked at from more of a offensive perspective. Guys being able to handle differently, bring the ball up the court, play different positions, different spots on the court. Whereas defensively, you can switch a lot and do a lot of that. But as we've seen, and I've always said it in the playoffs, you're seeing more and more guys get targeted on defense more than ever, because they were kind of changing these rules a little bit, and the switching isn't really working.
Yeah.
So I guess the moral of the story here is you guys think that we will be getting a bigger 4 by January when with this balloon.
I hope we do. I hope we have that option to put some bigger guy out there and not just say that, okay, well, we got Paul and Caleb, and that's going to be enough. I just hope we address it, because I still feel that that's something we can something we need to help us.
Yeah. Hart's Hart helps with rebounding. Hart doesn't help you guard Giannis. That has nothing to do with Hart. I mean, you can have all the heart you want, but that's not going to keep you in front of Giannis.
Yeah, I mean, he got his rebounds. He's a great rebounder, especially for his size, but is looked at as extra and great because of his size.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If he was 6'9", 6'10", if he was Tobias Harris, we wouldn't call him a great rebounder.
Yeah. He's doing a job.
Yeah, it's expected.
Yeah, they're just like he's getting rebound. He's tall. He's tall. He should be getting them.
Yeah. So our last YouTube comment here, a viewer posted that Paul George, this is under our conversation where we talked about Paul George's price tag. This viewer said that Paul George isn't as expensive when you factor in other players signing in Philadelphia for cheaper. What do you guys think about that comment?
It's an interesting way of looking at it.
I think Paul's the whole, in my opinion, the whole situation with Paul's contract is going to come down to how he was playing at the end of his contract. I think that's what it's going was really going to say the most is how it looks in the end. I think right now, I mean, if you're paying him what I thought he could have got on the, if every team was open on the market, he could have got on the open market. I think the Clippers would have paid him this amount too. It was always that last year. So I don't think he's overpaid per se. And I do think that him, I don't know if him being able to, for us to get other people doesn't necessarily mean that he isn't necessarily overpaid in the views of some people. There are some people that still view him as being overpaid. I'm not saying I'm one of them, but I'm saying there are people that view him that way. And just because we sign other people wouldn't necessarily change that opinion for people. Because some people would argue take less and sign more or sign better. It's just different ways of viewing it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
The one thing that Paul did get, he got cap space. He didn't get bird. He didn't have bird rights cap space. He got true cap space.
Yeah.
So the less he takes, the more you can give out to someone else.
Yeah. I get what he's saying, but I don't know how much of a draw Paul George was for other free agents to come. I mean, I don't know how much he impacted that. But yeah, you're right though. I think nothing matters.
I do feel with Paul George coming made Caleb Martin coming and taking less more enticing. I believe that. So if that's what he's saying, I do believe that would help Caleb Martin taking less in Philly. I believe that. Even though I think the biggest issue with Caleb is his beefing with Miami. But I do think him kind of seeing the opportunity in Philly was enticing with Paul going there. I believe that.
Yeah.
Also enticing for Kelly to come back and on a 1-year deal. Like I do think that helped. I think that all helped. I would say it helped more than it hurt.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it helped. I think I think you're right. In the end, I think the first 3 years are the first 3 years. That's what he would have gotten anywhere. I think that fourth year is going to be everything.
Yeah.
How he plays in that fourth year compared to what he's getting paid. Luckily for us, the last year of someone's deal is the easiest to move. So,
yes,
in the regards of that, that's still movable if it's a real problem, right? I think it's all manageable.
Yeah. And we still have all our assets too. So if things go awry in the fourth year, we can trade some assets and get another guy to pair with the future in Tyrese Maxey.
There you go.
There you go. 360, bring it all around to the beginning of the episode. All right, guys. Well, that does it for us. We'll see you guys next Friday as we continue our all-season episodes. And hopefully, maybe Precious Achiuwa, a big man, a 4 comes to us by the time of our next show. Who knows? With Summer League wrapping up here, there might be some deals coming here. Eric, do you think there might be some deals coming up with Summer League ending after agents meet with teams and stuff?
Maybe some deals. It might be some minor deals. I don't expect anything big, but we'll see. Anything major, but we'll see.
All right, guys. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We'll see you guys next week. See you, fellas.
Later on.
Take it easy.